Welcome back to It Is What It Is. I'm Treasure Wilson, aka Stat Baby, along with your hosts Mace and Cam.
Killer, what's good, man?
Good, bro. How you doing, man?
Chilling, man. Chilling.
Good. That's what's up. Stat, what's up, man?
I'm good. Glad to see you all. Okay, so got some basketball to get into. So the Celtics beat OKC 119-109, snapping their 12-game win streak. So Mace, how much should we actually care about the Thunder's 12-game win streak being snapped?
I think this is a lot of what to look forward to. I think unless they get past San Antonio, this is what we have to look forward to. I know before I said that the Knicks are the only team that I think could beat them out of the East, but now this adds a new wrinkle to Title Town. You know, it looks like that they're definitely beatable, and this was one of those games that they should have won. I think when you play against teams like Boston, you play against teams like New York or Detroit, anybody that's potential opponents in the future, you got to really send that message early. And I think this is one of those games that they'll wish they had back, because when you allow people to beat you, it builds their confidence to think they can. You know, right now, before this, it seemed like OKC was on a tear. But as of this, it looks like they're a team that could actually beat them.
Yeah, listen, man, you know what? Since doing this sports thing, man, I've been one of the biggest hypocrites. And I don't want to say hypocrites because this is a job that we have to do. And I used to do this before I talk about analysts before I started doing this. But I understand how it goes when you're dealing with 8-month, 9-month season, or football 6-month season, or whatever. You sit there and say you have one opinion in October, then you got another opinion in the middle of October, then you got another opinion in November, then Christmas, you got another opinion. And it's just part of what you're watching. And, you know, it's our job to see what we're watching, because it's funny. Just last week, Boston had lost 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, and the question was, should Tatum have came back? Did Tatum mess the rhythm up? We know he's doing good. We're not sure about Tatum. Now it's like, oh, Boston is one of them too. I'm not talking about Mason, I'm just talking about people in general, because I do think this was a statement game. This was a game where people were like, look, this could be a potential finals matchup. Let's go in there and see what we got and bust these niggas' ass. And Jaylen Brown looked tremendous. Jason Tatum looked good too, but Jaylen Brown looked like he really wanted to make sure that people knew he was in the building. Dunking on niggas, getting to the basket, mid-range game was crazy. And to me, Boston took it as a statement game. I'm not going to penalize OKC for this game. They're on the road. It wasn't a home game. Not only that, you know, everybody's not going to win ring off 15, 16, 17 games straight. I think the winning streak was really good. It was bound for them to lose. I had them losing this on this date anyway, but I wouldn't think too much of it, but I wouldn't just sweep it under the rug neither, because it's a potential finals matchup. What you do is you collect the data, you sit there and see where you made your mistakes at, and you take it back home with you and try and finish off the season at number 1, because San Antonio is creeping right behind you with a 7-game winning streak right now. And they want that number 1 spot, and they're not too far from getting it. That's first time in, I think, 7 years that they actually secured a playoff spot. Talking about the San Antonio Spurs. So shout out to the San Antonio Spurs for actually securing a playoff spot right now, and it hasn't been going on for a couple years. But I wouldn't put too much into OKC, but I wouldn't sweep it under the rug either. Take the data, take it home, and if you have to meet the Celtics in the finals, at least you know what they're coming with, because Jaylen Brown looks like he has a problem with everybody. He looks like he has a problem with why he wasn't on the Olympic team. Why is he not being considered, and Wemby and Shea ahead of him for being MVP? Why do y'all keep trying to play with me like I'm not one of them niggas? That's the type of game I seen from Jaylen Brown when they played the other night. So congratulations to Boston. If I'm OKC, like I said, take heed to this, but I'm not going to put too much stock into it. More importantly, is trying to finish it in the West, number 1.
Yeah. Well, when speaking...
Yeah, I love
go ahead, Mace.
I love Killer's take, but you know who said all of this?
Who?
Me, that's so. I said all of this. I'm happy. I'm happy that everything is coming full circle with Boston, because years ago I knew this. We was talking about this. Not that you didn't know this, but we've been talking about, like, Jaylen Brown is really one of the ones, and I'm happy that he's having this moment to showcase this in front of everyone.
Mace, you just said that nobody could beat them, but the Knicks, now you're switching up. So I don't know what you're saying from day to day. It changes. It varies. Titletown's on the move by the minute. So I don't know, Mace. I didn't say Jaylen Brown was one of the ones. You definitely said that.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. You did say that. I have to agree with you. Absolutely. You have no argument with me about that. None at all. You absolutely did say that.
Right. Okay. Super side note, just because I'm seeing the side-by-side frames, I'm like, y'all did not give me the memo of the studio background that both of y'all have. Like, y'all just... No,
I'm not always in the studio. Mace has his own studio. I don't have my own studio where we're at presently on the West Coast. But I'm in the studio working on a project, so I'm happy to be here today.
Okay, lit.
But Mace has his own studio.
I was like, y'all didn't tell me. I mean, I can't make a studio appear. I'm in a studio, just a different type of studio. But I was like, this looks kind of cool. What we got going on? I'm talking about really y'all, but I peep. Okay, so
you in the studio too, Stat.
Who?
You in the big studio.
I'm in a different type of studio. Y'all are in the studio. I'm not there. Y'all are in the real studio. It looks cool though. I was like, dang, like the soundproof, the voice that y'all got going on, all that. I'm like, dang, it looks cool. But I mean, y'all are used to it. I'm not. Okay, so you brought up Jaylen Brown, Cam, and there's a lot of whys. Do you guys believe that Jaylen Brown is underrated by still not being at the forefront of this MVP conversation, or do you feel like it's kind of signed, sealed, and delivered with, I know we've got SGA, I know we got Wemby, and then a lot of people are putting Luka at about second. What's you guys' opinions on that?
I think when it comes to the MVP race, it's kind of a sealed deal. It got to be one of those top two. I don't think they're gonna let it get to 3 and 4. I think that they already made up their mind who they want to give it to. And Jaylen Brown just may not be that guy for this year, but he's still going to ball out and keep doing what he's doing, because that's all you can do. Like, sometimes the refs are going to call it the way they call it, but you got to go out there and make sure you play the game the way you should. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. He's giving his best effort, but I think the writing is already on the wall who they want to give it to.
And the question is that, is he underrated? What's the exact question?
Yeah, do you feel like he's underrated by not being at the forefront of the MVP conversation?
I don't think that he's underrated. I just think that it's a lot of storylines that play into the MVP race. Like, we got Shea leading the league all season long, even though he missed some games. But OKC has pretty much been the beginning to the end. We still have 12, 13 games left. But if they finish in number one, think about this. I remember they started, I believe, 19-1, 20-1 when they was talking about possibly beating Golden State's and the Bulls record. And Shea got hurt, and they, shout out to their coach, Daganov. I always mess his name up. Stat knows that. But he did a great job, and then SGA comes back, breaks Wilt Chamberlain's record of 126 games. That was the record of consecutive 20-plus point wins. Then you have Luka. Ever since Trish done did some shit, because ever since Trish said it, now Luka's name is getting thrown in there for fourth place, and the amazing job that he's doing with the Lakers, you know what I'm saying? Then we talk about Wemby. Wemby's advocating for himself. When we talking about, I don't understand why I'm not being considered for the MVP. If y'all like OKC so much, we bust their ass 4 out of 5 times this year. Saddest story out of all of it is Cade Cunningham, right? Because Cade Cunningham, to me, even though SGA was leading as far as Vegas is concerned when you go with the odds, Cade Cunningham, until this injury, was my particular MVP this particular season for what he's done with Detroit, the way we all seen Detroit be unsuccessful, talk about their ticket prices, talk about all the free giveaways, so on and so forth, to having them in the number one spot with 15 games left, and then this injury happened. Cade Cunningham was my MVP until this injury. So I don't think it's disrespect. I just think that he hasn't done enough. And when it's sad to say when you say Jaylen Brown's done enough, considering Boston's been dismantled, considering Jason Tatum's not hasn't been playing 75 to 80% of the season. All these things, man, I think that goes to consideration. Plus his personality. And when I say personality, I don't mean bad. Off the court, he's kind of quiet, kind of reserved. Even when he's mad at somebody, he's like, I just don't get it, fucked around. You know, he's very mild-mannered, very intelligent brother as well. Very, very intelligent, man. But sometimes you got to go do what Wemby did. I don't know what the fuck going on. What the fuck is the problem, yo? I'm out here dominating on defense. I'm out here killing with assists. I'm out here scoring. I'm hitting game winners. I got the Spurs back in the playoffs. We fuck around with 60 games. What niggas talking about? Sometimes you got to advocate for yourself, and I don't think Jaylen Brown has that personality. But some people don't. I feel where Jaylen Brown's coming from, if that's his perspective. Because Shea ain't out here begging for MVPs neither. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Chubbs View. You know, he works with Drake. It was funny because I seen on Instagram Wemby with that quote, how he was saying he should get MVP. And Chubbs, who's down with OVO, shout out to Chubbs, he's in the comments talking about that man begging, man, chill out, SGA got it. And I said, oh shit, SGA's from Canada. Canada want SGA to get it. You know, Chubbs is from Canada. So I just think it's a lot of storylines, but I believe Jaylen Brown has had an outstanding season considering all the things that Boston has went through in the offseason and this season as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think it discredits him as a player and what he's done this season.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring that up because a lot of people, like, there's two sides about how Wemby approached it. And I want to ask you this, Mace. Do you see it as begging or do you see it as him genuinely just advocating for himself?
I look at it like advocation. Sometimes you gotta speak up for yourself, like Killer was just saying, and he said the other day on another take. You gotta speak up, especially when people are not putting your name in certain conversations, and you know you've been putting out that kind of work. Pause, and you definitely know you better than the people they saying should get it. I think one of the worst things to do is to watch somebody being awarded for something you know you do it better than them. That's one of the hardest things to watch.
Good point. And Cam, I know you kind of went over, but I want to get your take on that too.
I agree with Mason. Like I said the other day, you got to advocate because sometimes niggas act like they don't see what's going on. And I don't want to act like we don't see what Shea is doing as well and OKC is doing. That's not to be ignored neither. But I'm not gonna lie. If we're talking about the most sensational player this season, if we're talking about sensational, it's been Wemby. The shit that he's doing at 7'4", 7'5", is just amazing. You know, I was referring to, he was on a fast break, threw it through his legs, and this was last year before he got injured. Damian Lillard reached and he threw it behind his back like a guard and dunked it. Like, the shit that he's doing is just amazing to watch. So he's like, yo, I don't know what the problem is. So yes, I don't disagree with advocating for yourself. I remember, now don't get it fucked up. The best player in the league is not always the MVP. I remember watching The Last Dance, and for those who've seen The Last Dance, when Michael Jordan played against certain people, and he said, why did you really want to beat Phoenix this year? He said, because Charles Barkley got the MVP, and I feel he didn't deserve it. So he went and dismantled Charles Barkley in was it Houston? Whatever championship, I don't remember who Charles Barkley played for. I think, as a matter of fact, it's Phoenix. And he went and dismantled them, and he said, I did that because they gave Charles Barkley the MVP. Yo, why'd you do that this year in the championship to Utah Jazz, Michael Jordan? Because they gave Karl Malone the MVP, and I feel he didn't deserve it. So we may have that same scenario. You give Shea the MVP, Wemby, hopefully y'all meet in the playoffs, because I think that should be a sensational matchup, OKC versus San Antonio, and you go give him the business if he gets MVP and be like, I don't know what y'all was thinking about. I tried to tell y'all this a month and a half ago. Y'all wasn't listening. He may have an opportunity to prove it if Shea gets MVP, but we still have time to see who that goes through. But I don't consider it begging. I think that you should advocate for yourself if people act like they don't see what's going on. Sometimes they like to turn a blind eye to shit that's going on because they like who they like.
Yo, Killer, what do you think if they beat OKC? You think if San Antonio goes to the championship, you think they win it all?
Well, you made a great point. You made a great point a couple weeks ago when you said the Knicks, because they have been having trouble with the Knicks this season. But I don't think that we've seen the same Wemby that we've seen in the last month and a half this whole season. Even when they played the Knicks in the championship in the cup, and I don't like to use excuses for anybody, his grandmother died that day. And, you know, we're older now, so we haven't seen our grandparents in a long time. But if you're 21 years old, your grandmother meant a lot to you. I don't know how he was raised, but my grandmother was my parent half my life as well. You know what I'm saying? So people love their grandparents, and he was crying after the game and so on and so forth. But he didn't use that as an excuse. He came out and still played. Me, I don't know if I would have been able to play cup or not if my grandmother died that day. You know, I'm just saying because I love my grandmother. But the first time they lost in the cup, his grandmother died. That's not an excuse, period, as far as, I'm not going to say it's an excuse, but they lost again later on. So, you know, it's different strokes for different folks, pause, but I don't know. I like your take when you said they were struggling with the Knicks. So if the Knicks go, I'm not sure, but I think that the experience, all them guys, not just Wemby, Castle, Vassell, Johnson off the bench, we already know how much De'Aaron Fox wants to win, leaving Sacramento being in a great position right now. If they beat OKC, I would pick them to take it all, but I'm not mad at your point of view when it comes to the Knicks. I think the Knicks have been giving them a little bit of fits this season.
Yeah, this is a rematch, you know, a long couple years ago, you know, where San Antonio got the chip off the Knicks. I know they would love to get that get back. So that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know if the Knicks win, we'll never hear the end of it. So
you should have seen Sinner here last night crying because they got blown out by the Charlotte Hornets. And shout out to the Charlotte Hornets, man. The things that they're doing in this second half after the All-Star break has been sensational too. If they creep into the playoffs this year and make the playoffs, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round the way that they're balling right now. Knipple, Ball, they're really looking really good. And the more the season goes on, the more confident they look.
Yeah.
Be careful about the Hornets in the playoffs, depending on who they play.
Yeah. Speaking on that note, I actually want to ask y'all, Mace, I wonder if a team comes to mind. Do you feel like there's another team that might be a little underrated right now? Like we talked about Jaylen Brown specifically, and like I know Cam brought up the Hornets, but there are some teams that you're kind of like, they've actually got some good things going on. People are just probably underlooking them a little bit right now.
Yeah, when it comes to teams being underlooked in the East Coast, I'm definitely going to go Cleveland. You know, I know sometimes we bring it up, but most times people brush it off because of certain things they haven't seen James Harden do in the past. But I think this could be the year he's trying to make his name. This could be the year he's trying to get his name back. And I think if he shows up, that the sky's the limit for that Cleveland Cavalier team. I think they could beat anybody, you know, if he's playing well. But if he's not, then you know it's the regular. But that will be my team that I think of when I think of a team that people could think they're just brushing off. It will be the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay. Cam, do you feel the same about Cleveland?
Yeah, I think that we got the hype with James Harden in the beginning, and everybody's like, oh, Cleveland's the one. The hype kind of died down, and we started focusing on other things, talking about as far as sports analyzation for the NBA is concerned. Started talking about Tatum coming back. We started talking about look at the win streak for the Lakers, so on and so forth. So other storylines jumped over Cleveland. Then Cleveland fell back into fourth place. Like, you know, right now, it looks like it's a three-headed monster for us to try and get first place. When we talk about Detroit, we talk about Boston, and we talk about the Knicks, all like 4 games apart. Knicks and Boston are neck and neck, and I think it's a 3-4 game lead, if I'm not mistaken, for Detroit. So Cleveland had got kind of bumped to the back burner, but we'll see what happens in the playoffs. The team that comes to mind for me, and I'm not saying they're going to make a great playoff run or they're going to do anything in the playoffs, I'll do an East and West Coast team. I'll start on the East Coast. I think that Atlanta has something really great to build off this year, even if they don't go anywhere in the playoffs. They're 8-0 when Jonathan Kuminga is playing, and then they're 14-5 overall since Kuminga been there since the All-Star break. I think they got some new energy there, they got some new blood, and it's real exciting for them moving forward next year. So I would say keep an eye out for them next year, even though they right now currently could be in the play-in. But 8-0 with Jonathan Kuminga is tremendous, and 14-5 overall since he's been there is just stupendous. A team that I'll say on the West Coast that we're overlooking, and I'm not saying overlooking because you can never overlook the Lakers. But the Lakers being in third and the run the Lakers were on that 9-game win streak before they lost that game, people look at it and be like, that's good. That's really good. That's dope. But nobody expects the Lakers to do anything past the second round when we talk about the playoffs are concerned. So you sit there and say, yeah, it's great they won a 9-game win streak. It's great LeBron is scoring 17, 18, 19, 20 points at 40 years old. It's great that Luka Doncic had 60 points. It's crazy that Austin Reeves can score 40, 50 points. But it's not really equaling out to anybody expecting them to do anything in the playoffs. And I would say, if we're talking about playoff experience as well, we're talking about LeBron James, we're talking about Luka Doncic, and not only that, we're talking about a double-digit career player now coaching J.J. Redick. I remember J.J. Redick in his final couple years, he's playing with New Orleans. I think his final year, whenever Zion got there, 2021, if I'm not mistaken, or 22, or probably 21. And he stepped his on. He said, look, you're going to be the man on this team. Make it happen because I've never missed the playoffs in my career. So we talking about J.J. Redick. I don't remember how long his career been. But it's been somebody who's been to the playoffs 12, maybe 13 times in a row. So when we talk about experience, they know what it takes to get to the playoffs. Not only that, Luka's been to the championship. He knows what it takes to get to the championship. Then you got LeBron James, who's been to 10 finals in a row and actually has 4 finals and 4 finals MVP. Let's see how that translates in the playoffs, even though a lot of people aren't even expecting them to do anything in the playoffs.
Good takes. Okay, so in overtime,
Are you wait?
Go ahead, Mace.
Are
I
you
hear
really
you.
saying the Lakers are going somewhere?
I didn't say that. She asked the team that's being overlooked. That was the question, Mace.
I'm overlooking the Lakers, man. I'm overlooking the Lakers. They're not going anywhere. Who else is there on the West Coast? Who else is there? We got to overlook the Lakers until they prove us otherwise. I love the take about J.J. Redick because you need people like that. I hope J.J. Redick it seemed like he's doing the same thing to the Lakers, but I just don't think they could beat anybody really at the top. I know we love LeBron and Luka, but when it comes down to it, if you got somebody old on your team and you got a guy that don't play no defense, that's 2 slots that's going to make it hard to win. Pause. So I'm overlooking the Lakers. I hate to say this. I'm a lifetime Laker, enthusiast, but I got to overlook them right now.
Well, the thing about it, Mace, I remember... Yeah, thing about it, Mason, we did some due diligence. She wasn't here, but I was on a previous show, I was explaining how you were saying how Luka doesn't play defense. Actually, when you said he did not play defense and he had 60 points, he had 5 steals. The game before that, he had 3 steals. The Lakers during that 9-game winning streak was 2nd overall in defense, number 1 in defense against the 3-point shot. So they have been playing a lot of good defense, and that's been translating into wins. So as much as you say Luka hasn't been playing defense and the Lakers haven't been playing defense, that hasn't been true in the last 10 games. Overall, you're correct. But as far as the stats are concerned, number 2.
That's great. I love your analysis because it shows your attention to the game. But he's not guard. You could have 10 steals if you playing a zone and you're reading the defense. I'll be more specific than he doesn't play man-to-man defense. He plays zone, like, hiding in there, pause. They lob the ball, he get the steal, but I'm talking about actually guarding the two guard that's in front of him or the point guard that's in front of him. So thank you for making that correction for me, Killer. I stand corrected. He doesn't play man-to-man defense. That's what I'm talking about. But I do understand what you're saying, and I do agree with what you're saying. He could have 6 steals, but I'm talking about when the game is... Yeah, when you know what I'm talking about. You play basketball,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this: when you made your take last time about it, you said let me know when Luka gets 3 steals, and actually that gave me at 5. So that's what you said you wanted to know. Secondly, this isn't the '90s where you have to play man-to-man defense. It's not that game anymore. So you could play a zone defense, and if you have somebody like Luka, and I'm coaching, I'm JJ Redick, I'm definitely going to disguise Luka because we know that he can't stay in front of anybody defensively man-to-man. We absolutely know that. So if you're JJ Redick, that's credit to him for disguising him in his own defense. So I'm not disagreeing with you when you're saying it's man-to-man. But if we know that and I'm the coach, I'm going to disguise the nigga. We know he can't stay in front of anybody. This is a fact. I think it's credit to JJ Redick.
I agree with you, but if we're playing, if it's me and you playing, and we know this nigga play good defense in the zone, what are we doing? We getting them out of that zone. It's the job of those on the West Coast to hit threes, and all of the teams at the top can hit threes. He's going to have to come out and guard somebody. So they can guard him against most of these teams. Just like they was guarding him against, who was that? Houston one time. I saw them doing the same thing because Houston got 8 men. But when you get against an OKC, somebody who from each position can knock down the 3, you can't play that funny zone. You're going to have to come out of that zone and play mano a mano. So I agree with you, what you're saying. And it's a genius move on JJ Redick.
I think the zone is better against the 3.
Yeah, but once you get to that semifinals, the second round, that's where they go out because you got to guard somebody. You actually have to guard somebody and not just play zone defense. That works for certain teams. So I'm not against it. We just come back to it in the playoffs and be like, this is what he was talking about. And who knows? Luka's in shape. Maybe this is the year he smacked the floor and go Wojo from Duke or one of them. Bobby Hurley. He's a white boy. Maybe this is the year he smacked the floor. He might have to psych niggas out. If I was Luka, I'd just smack the floor and play defense, put my hands out, pause, and don't play no defense. But, it's something about niggas smack the floor. Niggas think he's ready to play defense. They might pass the ball. But
no,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, listen, you can be 100% correct. You just said let you know when Luka gets 3 steals, he had 5. So I'll just let you know.
Okay. Shout out to Luka. Maybe we'll get his sneakers, He got to play some defense, though.
That's what we're trying to see.
Yeah, I'm trying to see him smack the floor, pause, and the good old white boy defense, Killer. Nigga smack the floor, you think he might know how to shuffle his feet, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to 2 more teams on the West. So in overtime, the Timberwolves beat the Rockets 110-108 to pull off the largest overtime comeback in NBA history, which is a stat right there. Mace, what do you think of the Timberwolves being able to pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Rockets, they just let me down. Ever since I put my name on the list for them or said I was going with the Rockets, it just seemed like they can't figure it out. Like they got all the pieces there that can make this a good team. They're tall, Paul's is a lengthy team, but it just seemed like when it comes down to it, they don't have what it takes to win, man. I don't know. Maybe You need some more dogs on the team. You know, all of the stuff people say when they're not winning. And this, how dare you let the Wolves beat you without Anthony Edwards? That's like a slap in the face. And then to make the greatest comeback ever. But what I'm thinking about is this. The reason they were able to come back because you probably thought you had it without Anthony Edwards, but that wasn't true. So I'm not sure where they go from here. But the Rockets, I'm really gonna have to switch my team. I thought I wasn't gonna do it, but I have to do it. I can't trust them.
Yeah, as far as it's concerned for me, it's more about this isn't the time of year to lose to other playoff teams. Kind of how Mace was talking about with OKC and Boston earlier, even though they're not in the same, it's an East-West team. This is a team that you could potentially face in the playoffs. And I don't think this is the time to take any team lightly that you could potentially play in the playoffs, especially with Anthony Edwards not playing. But I've just brought this down to them not having a true point guard with Fred VanVleet not playing. And now this boils down to coaching and the GM. If you knew Fred VanVleet wasn't on the timeline to possibly come back for the playoffs, you should have made a move before the trade deadline or acquired somebody, because this team is a point guard away from possibly being in the championship. I thought that they would possibly make a championship run. I'm not saying that it's over, but they obviously need a point guard really badly. And I don't think this is a game they should take lightly either, losing, especially with Anthony Edwards not playing.
Yeah. And then, Mace, I know you said you're over it. You can't trust them, but I like to have clear answers. So I just want to clarify. So if you had to choose
them 100%.
Right, but for a preference wise, right? If you're choosing between both of the teams, the Rockets and the Timberwolves, which one do you preferably like better? Like, I know you're saying you can't trust them now, but that doesn't mean that you don't like the other one as much as the other. So which one are you choosing, regardless of the win?
No, now you're trying to give me another team, Stat. I'm over it, Stat. I see what you're doing. I've watched your takes back to back. I know when you're doing something. Your right shoulder goes up when you're lying, and then your left shoulder goes up when you're trolling. I watched
They go up together.
Yeah, but the one goes up before each other. That's how much I watch details.
Okay.
So I know when you're trolling, and I know when she's lying. Killer, just watch her shoulders.
What I took from that is when she said they go up together, I took it as you lying and you're trolling at the same time.
I can't win. I can't win. Your shoulders went up. What's your shoulders mean?
No, I'm just saying, I'm not agreeing with that Stat. I'm just telling you what he said. I'm not agreeing with it. I don't know.
Agree or not agree, comments have added to the fire. So I'm like, what y'all shoulders mean? If mine is lying and trolling, what's yours and what's yours?
I'm not agreeing with the Stat.
Everybody's going to be paying attention to your shoulders now.
Man, I can't win.
Do it again, Stat. Do it again. Let me see.
No, because now I'm subconsciously keeping my shoulders down. They're not even going to move. It was a fair question. Man. I just wanted to know your preference for which team, the Timberwolves or the Rockets. Like, which one? I know you say you don't trust the Rockets right now.
I don't have a preference. I don't have a preference when it comes to the Timberwolves, because they're not my team either. I just like Anthony Edwards, pause, as a two guard. He brings that 90 feeling to pause the basketball, that he's really trying to be great. He's really trying to be the best player on the floor. And his mindset of not wanting to be the face of basketball even adds to that same sentiment. But I'm not ready to pick between those two. That's like a bad choice and a not so bad choice. They're both bad choices, though.
Okay, Camp.
If I had to make a pick, I'm going with Houston. I think Minnesota, even though Minnesota, if they were to play each other, could possibly win too. I think both of these teams are missing pieces. We just talked about Houston missing a point guard. I think I think that Minnesota is missing a second go-to constantly, right? We talked about Julius Randle being there. We know Nas Reed comes off the bench. Mike Conley's getting kind of older. Listen, it's a lot of different players that's good, but who's the second option when it comes to Minnesota? And that's my problem with Minnesota. What I don't like is we need more production from Sagoon. And I think Sagoon name hasn't been ringing like it's been ringing the last year, couple years, is because of the point guard. You know, we need Sagoon's down low, power forward center. You need somebody to get him the ball so he can produce. He's not the Joker, even though he's good when you have a point guard. So both of these teams need pieces. Houston actually has a piece. It's just that their point guard is hurt. Minnesota, I'm not sure outside of Anthony Edwards who's my second option, even though it should be Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle is great, but the inconsistency, game in and game out, has been there. And so we can't depend on him being second string, and I don't know who would be the second person to go to. Not second string, the second option. So if I had to pick, I would pick Houston.
Okay. Good take, Shaw. So Vegas will be hosting the Super Bowl again. We will discuss after the break.
She called this thing about toxic. 4 years and counting. Got you feeling like an option. Maybe I'm my own problem, babe. She tired of hearing I don't know. My stubborn in me won't fall. Dealing with this thing called trust. But she really thinking about it. She wanna be free. Why am I in this woman way free?
Welcome back. So Las Vegas will host the Super Bowl after the 2028 season for 2029. Mace, do you think that Las Vegas should be a regular rotation city for the Super Bowl after 2028, or do you think it should stay a rare destination? Because a lot is coming to Vegas.
I like the rare destinations, but I think it was beautiful when it was in Vegas. You know, I was able to get tickets fast. Things were moving really great, you know. I think Vegas is a perfect city for the Super Bowl. I mean, when you got Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Miami, Atlanta, places like that, I think some places you should not have the Super Bowl in because it's so weird outside of the Super Bowl, right? So I don't want to put nobody's city on blast, but every Super Bowl is not good when it's in certain cities. People don't go. Even the All-Star games, when they have them in certain cities, people don't want to go, even though it's the All-Star game. So it's the same thing when it comes to Super Bowl. I think Vegas is a definite hot spot for the Super Bowl. You got everything there. You got shopping. You got food. You got, you know, even the casinos that people may want to go to. You got a lot that Vegas has to offer.
I'm in favor of the Super Bowl being wherever it's a retractable roof, which Vegas has, or good weather. I think that sometime when you remember they had the Super Bowl in New York, it was literally 1 degree. I think that the Super Bowl should be played in decent weather to where it's on a playing field. Some people like it loud. That's the real Super Bowl when they're in the cold and they're on the snow, and that may determine the game. For me, I would like to see everybody at their full capabilities and decent weather. And Vegas has a retractable roof, so if it's raining or, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be burning up like it does in the summertime in February. But I think Vegas is a great city, or any place with a retractable roof or good weather.
Yeah. I think in general, just the trajectory of Vegas is kind of insane because it's like now you're bringing the Super Bowl back, which is around the time when they're trying to bring the NBA team. And then we already know they're discussing baseball, and then we already have WNBA, and then we already have a football team, and then They're supposed to get the first overall pick with Fernando. So it's just a lot going on around the same time, but I'm in favor of it because I do think that this is a great city to host all those events. I'm just trying to think in like a couple years how insane. I didn't even mention boxing, like WrestleMania, like just everything is here. So I like that it's a hot spot. And I think it should continue to be, and I'm hoping that they continue to do more stuff here. But I just think that year specifically, it's going to be a lot going on. So I'm interested to see how that's going to go for sure. Okay.
And the thing about it, what's even crazier? Like, was, I didn't see it on the list of topics. I think I'll just bring it up real quick. Tom Brady even asked the NFL would they be cool with him playing, with him coming back. I think Tom Brady played in that flag football game the other day and seen how he didn't have to get hit, and he played decent, even though it was flag football. He actually asked the NFL, how would they feel if he made a comeback on some Michael Jordan play for the Wizards shit? Because I think Vegas is hot now. He's an owner of a team and now wants to play for the team that he's part owner in. But the NFL said they're not allowing owners to be players, so they kind of shut it down. And Tom Brady afterwards canted that how much he likes being retired. He thought he just asked and it felt good playing flag football, but he's going to stay retired. But I think if the NFL would have granted him a pass and say yes, I think Tom would have fucked around and tried to come back.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, I'm for it. I'm for it if Tom would have came back to Vegas, that would have been fire. Because he actually, they would have needed a lot of pieces, but just him being on the field would have brought a lot of life to Las Vegas.
For sure. Okay, so Clarissa Shields addressed the narrative that her man Papoose is with her for money. She denied those claims and said he's actually the one paying all her bills, mortgage, car payment, insurance, and even vacation flights. So I'm going to ask you this question a little bit away from her because, this is the comments that she made about her relationship. But in general, Mace, how do you feel, or how do you really know if someone is in a relationship with you for the right reasons? And then thoughts on what she had to say for people claiming that he's with her for the money.
Oh, how do you know when somebody's with you for the right reasons?
Yes.
Oh, man. Because they treat you well when things go bad. You always pay attention to how people treat you when things go bad. When things go bad, you tend to find out how people really feel faster than when things are going well. So I would tell her to just watch what happens when things don't go well. When you don't give people what they ask for or what they request, then you tend to find out some things you didn't know before. Not always something bad, but you will find out something you didn't know before. And I think when it comes to her and Papoose, I think Papoose over the years should probably have as much money as her. So I don't see how, I just don't see that. Maybe that's a New York bias. But I think over the years, he should have the same amount of money. I'm not pocket watching, but, he should be somewhere in that zone.
I ain't got no comment.
Well, how do you know if somebody's with you for the right reasons?
Whole point is this, right? If I say my comment, they going to say I'm talking about them. So I don't even want to comment because I don't choose to be in their business. They got a lot going on right now, and I don't want to be a part of whatever they got going on. Not in a bad way, but they got a lot of shit going on social media, and I don't want to add on to it. They got a lot going on without me, and my take would be hot. It'll go viral. Just if I say one thing, it'll go viral. They got a lot going on, so let them handle the shit that they got going on now, and I wish them the best. Good luck.
Fair take.
Look at there. Cam spared them.
I just choose not to be in. It's a mess on the internet with everything they got going on, and it may not be a mess to them. But every time I see something, it's not about her necessarily being a boxer because she's a great boxer. It's not necessarily being him about being a great rapper. It's other messy shit. And if I give my opinion, niggas is waiting for me to say anything. I don't mind giving my opinion on anything. But their relationship has a life of their own. And there's several people that they're going at it with on social media and on the internet. I don't need to be another one.
That's
I'm
fire,
good.
yo. That's fire.
That doesn't go for anybody. I'm just saying. I'm just telling.
Yeah, I mean, thinking of this, a lot of people, just come at them like you said. She's a great boxer, and looking like she's gonna be greater than the greatness that she's already shown. And it's just like I was watching Steve Francis. We was in the studio arguing today. Who was better, Steve Francis or Baron Davis, right? Everybody's arguing. Who would you say was better, Killer? Steve Francis or Baron Davis in their prime? Before any injuries, who's better?
The only reason I'm going to say Steve Francis, I'm going with Steve Francis, is because you don't trade Tracy McGrady for anybody. You traded Tracy McGrady for Steve Francis. Now, Baron Davis, hell of a fucking player, super duper dope player, like great. But they wouldn't have traded Baron Davis for Tracy McGrady. That's how good that Steve Francis was. That you give up Tracy McGrady for Steve Francis. Now, we know Tracy McGrady had injuries here, but you
what
giving up
nigga sitting next to me said. It's exactly what he said.
That
I was
was
like,
my
yo,
opinion.
Baron Davis was going crazy. But when I saw the Steve Francis highlight, I was like, yo, nah. But Steve Francis was on TV saying, man, Baron Davis know where I'm at, man, if he want that smoke. And I just thought that was crazy. Because, sometimes people see themselves as close. But then when you really in it, pause, man, this nigga ain't close, nigga. Not close at all.
Right.
Y'all hyping
it. You don't give up 6'8", dribble, jump shot, handle, for just anybody, man. So that's why I would go
6'2", right? Anybody 6'2", that's great.
Yeah, exactly. That's how good Steve Francis was.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the highlight on Steve Francis today. I forgot how crazy Steve Francis was. The internet, they be playing too much, man. And nigga have 2 good games. They'll compare him to Jordan if he had the right 2 games. Watch that shoulder now.
They are not, ever since you said that, I promise you they are not moving at all. Like, I haven't moved them once and I won't move both of them twice. Got it. Okay, let's go back to the football talk, actually. So the Seahawks signed wide receiver Jaxson Smith and Njigba to a 4-year, $168.6 million contract extension, making him the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. The deal includes $120 million guaranteed and averages $42.15 million annually. Of course, not pocket watching, but it's a valid question, Mace. Does this make sense to you? Do you think he should be the highest paid wide receiver?
I'm gonna let Cam go first because I don't know this guy that much, but I like the way they're paying him, and I want to hear what Killer got to say.
This is part of when we say winning means something. You know what I'm saying? We got my nigga on my team, Jamar Chase. We got Justin Jefferson over there in Minnesota. We talk about CeeDee Lamb. Those were the 3 highest paid wide receivers until he just got this deal. But he's a Super Bowl champion, reigning Super Bowl champion. This is part of winning. And it started when Geno Smith was there. They was like, oh, Geno Smith got a good one receiver. He actually helped Sam Darnold get comfortable being in Seattle because you had a security blanket when you passed him. So, when you got the numbers that he had, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he led in the yards and receiving. Nick, you can confirm that for me so I don't look crazy. But just in general, you win, it means something. We think about Puka. Puka going to get that money when it's signed. He going to get that money, but he's a Super Bowl champion. And not only a Super Bowl champion, a big piece of why they won the Super Bowl. not just that game, leading up to the Super Bowl, while Seattle had a great season. So I think the money's warranted. You'll have people who argue because they're not familiar with the name like you are with Jamar Chase or CeeDee Lamb or my nigga I just named down there in Minnesota. But I think the money's warranted, and this is part of them trying to keep him there for Sam Darnold to try and go another Super Bowl run. And in the years to come.
Yeah, I think when it comes to this guy, like I said, I didn't know his name. He wasn't that popular in my world of sports. But I definitely think if you win the Super Bowl, you work the money. And what a better time to negotiate than when you win the Super Bowl. I think that's the time to start asking people, let's renegotiate. Let's get this better, so we can keep the core team around. You got to know how to communicate. And I think this is a great idea for other wide receivers and other players to use as well. When you win the championship, go back and get more money. But because I remember a couple of years ago when Philly won it, right? They didn't even keep that team together. So that's why I said this is something that needs to be done more often so you can keep some of them core players together, because how most players think is after they win a championship, I got the ring now. Let me get the money. And what better way to get the money than on the team you won with? I think it's a beautiful day for football.
Okay. And then, Cam, to confirm what you said, Jaxson did lead the league in receiving yards, so you were correct on that. But shout out to him because he got paid, so that's lit for him. Hopefully, Puka can take a little bit of notes.
You win the Super Right, you win the Super Bowl and you lead the league in receiving yards. It's time to get paid.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so last thing before we wrap. So the Colts have actually signed college basketball player Carson Tout with the intention of converting him to a tight end. He played 5 seasons of college basketball, most recently with Notre Dame, where he started 31 games. Mace, how do you feel about athletes switching sports, especially as we're seeing it on the highest level that you can?
This is the way I think about this. This is nothing new. I remember, I think when we was in high school or so, Charlie Ward. I don't remember what year of schooling I was in, but I remember this very, very vividly. That Charlie Ward was like the Heisman in football, and then he got drafted by the Knicks, and we were like, "What? How's Charlie? Ain't that?" I remember asking somebody, "Ain't that the guy that played for Florida State in football? Why is he playing basketball?" And didn't think that he was playing basketball, and he ended up starting for the Knicks was crazy, So I'm a firm believer of people that play one sport can oftentimes play another sport. And it's been rumored for years that a lot of the best basketball players were football players. So I don't think it's that much of a leap. Some people may think it is, but I think when you're a supreme athlete, then you pretty much could have played more than one, at least 2 sports. So if this is just the second sport, I don't think is as reaching as people think it is.
I don't know him as a football player, and I really don't know too much of him as a basketball player, so I'll just give my opinion on people playing more than one sport. We've seen people do it on a professional level. We've seen Deion Sanders do it. We've seen Bo Jackson do it. Sometimes they try to keep you in a box and want you to play only one sport when you're multi-talented and you can play more than one sport. So if he could play, but it's not for everybody, right? We've seen, and not just sports, sometimes you're assigned to a specific talent for a sport. We were sitting there watching Tim Tebow be a quarterback sensation in college, and it didn't work out for him, and then he tried to play baseball. That's how good Tim Tebow was. They say, sign the nigga to the Mets. Let's see what happens there. Didn't work out with the Mets. Niggas say, you know what? Make the nigga a linebacker. He tried to be a linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That didn't work out. So it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work out.
His agent is fired.
Yeah, you can't get mad at him. But that's how much America loves Tim Tebow. Give him a shot doing something. You know what I'm saying? They love Tim Tebow, America, that is. So just in general, it's not far-fetched if the person can do it. It's about if the person can do it. Think about this. As much as he played quarterback, if I was Russell Wilson, I'd go back to the Yankees and say what's good. Russell Wilson was actually drafted by the New York Yankees to play baseball, but he chose football instead. I think his contract just got up, or not contract, his rights just what got up a year or two ago with the Yankees. He was actually under the Yankees to play baseball, and that's maybe he may want to revisit how things are going now with him in football. But it's players that have to make decisions. I remember looking at an interview with Randy Moss, and Randy Moss played everything. He did track, he played baseball, he played football, he played basketball. He's actually All-American in football and basketball. He said what discouraged him from playing basketball actually was because he went to a Nike camp, or one of them camps where all the best player was, and I forget the other person basketball player he named, but he said Kevin Garnett was destroying him. He said that year I just realized Kevin Garnett is just going to, it's better than me. He said, this is what Kevin Garnett does all year round. I'm just playing whatever sport is in season when I'm in school. So it isn't that people can't play more than one sport. Sometimes they have to make a decision because they don't want everybody playing everything at one time when you get to the professional level. But if he could be a college basketball player and you know you're not going to go to the NBA and you can play football, more power to him. Congratulations.
When y'all played basketball, y'all never wanted to play any other sport? Like, it was just basketball?
I mean, I probably could have played football. When I got to Jacksonville, I did a little cross country running, but that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, just in New York, the problem with New York is the cool factor. Everybody wants to be cool, and basketball is the coolest sport. My man Bezo, who's actually in town. My man Bezo's actually in town, and Bezo told me this story, and it seems like he still regrets it. Shout out to my nigga Bezo. He's actually in town for this next few weeks fucking with me. And he was telling me how when he was 9, 10, 11 years old, he was a really, really good tennis player. Really, really super duper good, to where, they would send them away to camp, or they wanted them to come to camp, something like that. And he let a family member discourage him. Like, you bitch-ass tennis player, bitch-ass, who the fuck want to play tennis, nigga? Fuck are you talking about? And because his family members didn't approve of it, older brothers or whoever, it discouraged him from playing tennis, to where now he looks back on it like, I could have been one of them niggas.
Yeah.
But it's the cool factor. It's the cool factor. It's not cool to play anything else but basketball in New York, even though we're not even that tall in New York. When we was coming up, like I said, I remember the Warriors, but that shit got played out when I was like 8 or 9 years old, a football team. It was really no organization, as far as I remember, as far as football or anything else concerned. I remember my mother had me doing everything, though. I was tap dancing when I was 3 years old. I was doing plays on my first performance was 4 years old in a play at the Beacon Theater. Tap dance at the Beacon Theater. I did gymnastics at this place called Walden on 88th Street and West End Avenue. Central Park West. My mother had me in an array of different things. But you got to realize she's taking me out my environment to do this in single digits. By the time I got to be able to think for myself when I'm 9, 10, 11 years old and I'm going outside, I don't see niggas doing gymnastics. I don't see niggas playing tennis like that. I see every other block or every other park that I walk past, people playing basketball. You get a ooh, ooh, and the girls out there, and there's cars outside, triple parked. That was the cool sport to play in New York. So no, for me, I didn't want to play anything else once I was of age to make a choice for myself.
Dang. But at least y'all tried different things. I know you said football too, Mace.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about growing up. That probably helped you, putting you in gymnastics and all that. that's probably what made you super athletic, you know?
No, absolutely. I'm not. Listen, I commend my mother, bless her soul. I actually commend her because I actually went to private school my first few years. I've never been to a PSIS school. I've never been to none of them schools to put me in that environment. And I'm thank God that I wasn't in none of them joints because I may have been turned out another person. My schools was never directly in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? So I commend her for all that. That's why I be telling people the shit I be doing is organized ignorance. I'm very, very smart. I didn't go to none of that shit. And she had me in different shit for years. And I do credit her for that. Not just athleticism, brain-wise is too. You know, you got it's not a lot of y'all murder. And when I say not a lot of y'all, it's not a lot of y'all that went to PSs that made something of yourself like that. So congratulations.
That's why I'm over here laughing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, nigga. You get the same
man.
breakfast every day for 4 years, nigga.
Yeah, man. So I commend you. But yeah, shout out to my mother for taking me out of that and let me see something different every day.
Oh, man, that was crazy, Stat. The PS schools are like the public schools, right? So they're totally different. They're totally different.
Yeah.
It's like school for Section 8. Just think of school for Section 8.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Elementary Section 8. That's I had to bring it where you can see it. That
helps. That's very different because
middle school for HUD homes.
Yeah.
That's dope though that y'all did try other things though. Like that is cool. Okay. Y'all, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank y'all for watching. And as always, it is what it is.